Hello, welcome to a informational branding video about PSA Airlines designed to give you the background information and branding information that will allow you to shine and do really, really well on your PSA flight attendant video interview, as well as your virtual group and virtual face-to-face interview when you make it to that next step. So this video is about PSA as far as the company goes and what they stand for. The next video, which is coming out, it should be available when this one is available. So when you're watching this, you should still be able to find, after you finish this one, the information about the video interview, as well as information about that face-to-face. I have some sample questions. I have some possible questions to expect, and I'll also go over the process for those two different types of interviews in those other videos. But right now, we're going to talk about PSA. So first of all, I'm Abbie Unger. I'm the owner of Flight Attendant Career Connection, which is a company who helps aspiring flight attendants land their dream job faster and with less frustration. So I'm super excited that you're here watching this video. I'd love for you to join our Facebook group, and I'd also love for you to subscribe to this channel if you find this video helpful and you want to be friends. Okay, so let's talk about PSA Airlines. First of all, I do want to say again that this is unofficial. I do not work for PSA Airlines or represent them in any way. I only represent Flight Attendant Career Connection. But I actually did fly for PSA a while ago before I had my first child. So PSA Airlines was the company that I was with when I decided to stay home and be a full-time mom. I was a flight attendant for them, a check flight attendant, as well as an in-flight instructor. So I loved my time at PSA. I really, really enjoyed it. It came at a time when I had been a flight attendant before, and PSA gave me the opportunity to get back in the sky, and I was full of gratitude for them. I enjoyed the team that I worked with. I enjoyed my managers. I enjoyed my coworkers. I even enjoyed working on those little tiny Barbie baby jets. I really, really liked working for PSA. Now, so that's my little bit of my disclosure about PSA. First question that I want to address is, what does PSA stand for? So back in the day, PSA, some of you may remember the original PSA, Pacific South Coast, Pacific, somebody pop it, in the comments, Pacific Southwest, South Coast Airways, something like that. I know you've seen the pictures of the stewardesses in the orange hot pants. So that's what we're talking about. They had aircraft that had a smile on the front. They bring the smile or make the smile, something like that. So that was back a while ago, a couple decades ago, before I was born, actually. And during some merging, U.S. Airways ended up with the name PSA Airlines. Now, PSA Airlines was very iconic. It had a brand that was attached to it. So to protect it, they were actually really smart. To protect it, they had to use it. To keep it, they had to use it. To keep the trademark, they had to use it. So they popped it on their regional carrier. So PSA Airlines that we see today, operating as a regional carrier for American Airlines, is nothing like the PSA of the decades past. Okay, so that's why PSA actually stands for Pacific, and they're based on the East Coast. So that's why it's kind of a little bit of a misnomer, but they are currently operating as a regional jet for American Airlines. So that's the first question. They're actually not just a regional for American Airlines. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of American Airlines groups, which means the same parent company that owns American Airlines, Mainline, also owns PSA Airlines. They as well own Piedmont and Envoy. So that's sort of like a little conglomerate, a little family. Now, American Airlines does have regionals that are not wholly owned subsidiaries. Mesa, SkyWest, these are some of the other ones. Those companies are within themselves an airline, and they basically rent or lease or contract out work. They accept contract work from different airlines. PSA will only work for American. They are not out on the open market selling their regional wares, selling the regional services. They are owned by American Airlines Group, and they will operate as American Airlines until American merges with somebody else or is owned by somebody else. When I was with PSA, I was actually working as US Airways Express. So that's back when they were owned by US Airways. Now, that is a little bit about their background. Why, or about their business right now. The reason that that's really cool is because when you're a wholly owned subsidiary, you are considered in a lot of ways an employee of American Airlines, the big conglomerate. Now, you will not be flying on American Airlines planes. You won't be flying on American Airlines as far as flowing over or keeping seniority when you go to American. They are operated as two different companies, so they don't overlap in that kind of sense. But they are also owned by the same parent company. So some of the things are the same. For example, your badge will say American Airlines. Your uniform will be the same as the American Airlines uniform. When they get a new uniform, you'll get a new uniform. Also, your boarding priority for your flight benefits is the same as American Airlines. So let's say you worked for Mesa or SkyWest, and you were trying to non-rev or fly for free in an open seat on American. An American flight attendant or employee could bump you because it's her company's airplane. But if you are PSA, then she may or may not be able to bump you based on seniority. More than likely, she'll be senior to you. So she's bumping you anyways. But eventually down the line, she would not, the boarding priority and the seniority list as far as non-revving is you have the same flight privileges. So that's really cool too. Another thing that I like about PSA Airlines is that even though they're a small regional, even though we're a small airline, they're a large regional. That's a better way to say it. So they're growing. They have a really great system as far as bidding and dropping trips. And their airplanes are pretty new. And they have first class on some of them. And there's a lot of bright, shiny growth that you get from PSA that makes them still a really desirable place to work. And these are really cool things to be able to take part in, even though they are a regional carrier. Those are a couple things that I just wanted to share with you, first of all, about PSA. Now, I'm going to glance away because I do have some notes, but there's some other things that I wanted to tell you about PSA. Make sure that you know. Their crew bases are in DCA, Charlotte, Dayton, and Philly. Now on the website, it still says that they have Norfolk and Knoxville, but those bases have been closed. So right now they have DCA, Charlotte, Dayton, and Philly. They are based in Ohio. They're based in Dayton, which is why they have a crew base there. Training is also in Dayton. Training is 4 weeks long, and it is paid, which is nice. The starting pay as of right now is $19.38 per flight hour, which is industry leading. So they're one of the better paying regionals, which is exciting as well, right? Height requirements, you have to be taller than 5'2", but no taller than 6 feet. Can't be taller than 6 feet because they do have those smaller regional jets with the lower ceiling. You have to be 21 to apply, and they operate CRJs 700s and 900s. Another thing that I love about PSA is that there is a ton of information on their website about them as a company. Sometimes when we're applying to regionals, there's not a lot of company culture information on the websites because they're representing their larger carriers. But PSA is not that way. There is an entire culture page that I will put the links in the description, because it's so inspiring and super helpful. It talks about the different nonprofits that they partner with: Toys for Tots, Alzheimer's Association, American Heart Association, and other ones, as well as you can find information on awards that they've won. Best Place to Work in Ohio for several years, Better Business Bureau Awards. They received award for being a veteran-friendly employer. So many cool things on their website. Definitely take some time to look around PSA's PSA's website. Somebody worked really hard on it, so let's show them some love. Visit their website and learn about the company. Their core values are on there. They have a full description of core values, which is what they call the PSA way. It includes passion and safety and respect and a couple other things, all on the website. I can also copy and paste them into the description of this video. I think that would be helpful, but there's just so much information there on the website. Let me see what else I wanted to tell you. That is pretty much the bulk of what I wanted to share with you about PSA in this video. Again, their bases are based mostly on the East Coast, but you do have those American Airlines flight benefits. Commuting is always a little bit difficult, but it's always an option, and it's done by lots of different people. I don't imagine that they will be opening another crew base anytime soon, although they do seem to be expanding out west a little bit more and more and more. So maybe we will see something closer to the middle in maybe like a American Airlines city. I mean, I don't think that they're going to just like open up like Omaha or something. But then again, they did have a Norfolk base. So who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they end up with Chicago or Dallas, kind of inch a little bit over towards the middle of the country. But right now they're based mostly in the East Coast. The good news is a lot of their base cities, DC, Charlotte, and Philly, are easier to commute in and out of cities. They're major cities. So I think that that's everything I wanted to tell you about PSA. I think they're definitely a strong contender if you're thinking about becoming a flight attendant right now. They are one of the ones that have been hiring in the end of 2020, and then now well into I expect to see growth well into 2021 as well. Another thing I wanted to point out is PSA did furlough flight attendants, but they were able to recall all of their flight attendants pretty quickly. Then, when they recalled their flight attendants, they had several hundred, over 100, I know, closer to 200 flight attendants of the 400 that they had furloughed that decided not to come back. So that's where we're seeing some of this growth is need. Like, they called them back because they needed them, and then they weren't all willing to come back. So maybe they got a new job, maybe they had a baby, maybe they decided that they didn't want to be a flight attendant during the pandemic. I'm not sure why everyone made their choice, but I do know that that is one of the things that happened. So that's part of the reason why there is some growth here. So to think like that they've only called back their furloughs because of the new PSP payroll support program, and then they're going to furlough again in March, I don't really see that happening with PSA because they did lose so many employees not returning off of furlough. So that's another thing to note. I have been asked that question a couple times, so I wanted to address it. But I am here if you have any more questions. If you would like to learn more information about airlines, branding, interview process, things like that, you can visit the brand new product launching in February, brought to you by Flight Attendant Career Connection, called Flight Attendant Hub. Flight Attendant Career Hub. That's what it's called. And the links to all of that is in the description. Thank you for your time. I'm excited for you. Go get your wings. Talk to you later. Oh, and you can watch the video interview video and the face-to-face video interview on the YouTube channel too.